welcome to this England Football Learning PE episode. Today we're going to be tackling many questions that teachers have in their minds, especially those at the beginning of their careers. We'll be discussing creating positive environments, high quality PE lessons, and the importance of keeping things simple. I'm Debbie and I'm delighted to be joined by Darren and James, who are members of the FA PE team. So let's get straight into it. James, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to ask you quite a broad question. And it's all about the role of teachers. What do you think that looks like in PE lessons?
I think we've got to remember what the purpose of PE is, and that we're trying to develop this love of physical activity and possibly sports beyond education. So for me, it's really important that we create positive environments that engage children, that make them want to come back and participate in the lessons. So yeah, I think we need to get that bit right. Positive environments for children. Absolutely,
and I think it's so important. You know, as the teacher, you're front and centre. You're the role model, and how important it is to be inspiring. Because, like you said, you want to encourage the children to enjoy it and really love looking forward to that time in the week. Darren, what about you?
I really do agree with both things about positive environments and being a role model. The other side of the coin is that we've got to remember not to overthink things, keep it simple. There's loads of different things out there that can help us. And for me, the most important thing about when you're standing up there as a teacher in a PE lesson is to try and be yourself and really bring out the authentic things that you do in the rest of the day in the classroom. Something that's quite scary to do, if I'm honest. You have all these lessons that you go through throughout the day, and then when it comes to PE, for some reason, sometimes it changes. And so, yeah, one of the massive things for me is to just be yourself and really keep it simple.
I think you're right there. You mentioned about it being scary or quite intimidating. I think we need to remember that there's lots of resources out there for teachers to tap into, and it's just how we use them, you know, to help shape the experiences that we provide children.
Absolutely, and I think it's really important to remember just how much is out there. There's lots of schemes of work and lesson plans and videos, and I think this is a really good opportunity for us to watch the stadium game. This game is called the stadium game. So to start the game, we're going to balance the ball in our hand like this, okay? So you're going to start first, so you're going to start on this side. So what area are you trying to get into? Where's that area, okay? Can you see your partner? Yes, okay? You've got 60 seconds to try and stay in this area for as long as you can without your partner touching the ball like that. Okay, do you want to have a go? Quick go, ready, steady, go! So try get into your area, that's it, keep going. That's it. And freeze. Love it, okay? So if our partner comes around and touches the ball, then you get it. Where's your home stadium? Where do you have to go? In here. And then it's your turn to try and catch your partner. Let's see how we got on. Ready, play. Off you go. That's it, keep going. Well done, can we get her? Can we catch her? Well done, keep going. Balance it. This time you need to be really brave and you're going to put the ball on the ground. Instead of touching it with your hand, to change possession or to change over so that somebody else has a go, you're going to have to throw the bib and try and hit the ball. I'm dribbling the ball. It's my home stadium. How are you going to get this ball? Oh, okay. So try and get a little bit closer. Ah, well done. Ready, off you go. Love it, well done. Can we get it? Keep going. Well done. So you're doing really well, okay? We're using our body as a shield, okay? We're running really fast. We're looking for the space to try and get away from our defender, yeah? Really important when we're playing the game. So instead of throwing the bib and trying to catch your partner out that way, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to play crocodile tag. To play crocodile tag, Anya, with her foot, must touch the ball. That's it. So we're not kicking away. All she needs to do is touch the ball like this. Okay, so you're trying to get the ball off me, so try and get it. What are you going to do? Oh, did she touch the ball with her foot? Perfect. Once Anya has done that, we swap over, so I become the defender, and I have to try and touch the ball with my foot. Ready and play, off you go. Remember, try and step on it, try and step on it. Yes, well done. That's it. So make sure you swap over. Make sure you swap over then. So previously we had been discussing the importance of positive environments. So James, after watching that video, what did you see?
I think first of all, you look, every child was playing and involved, and I think the key word there was playing, and we're using games that are like games that they would use on the playground themselves, tag-based games. So they were all involved. They were working in small groups as well, so they're getting lots of opportunity to participate and try things out. I'm not sure what was going on, but they're potentially in friendship groups as well. So they're maybe pairing up with their friends and playing the game that way. So yeah, I think being play-like and lots of opportunities to try things out are really key in creating that positive environment we talked about earlier on.
Absolutely, and I suppose you know, having that teaching role, you know the class better than anyone else. Do you think it's important to pair them up in friendship groups, or do you think there'd be any problems with that?
It's knowing your class, like you've said. You'll know who you can pair up, who maybe you need to separate. You'll also be thinking about the level of challenge you want to provide the children. That's your role as a teacher, is you're kind of looking at who works well with who needs to challenge, who needs to move, and that's just constantly happening through the knowledge that you've built up, knowing your class over the year, the school year that you've had.
I think that comes down to the relationships that you've got with the kids, but then the relationships that the kids have got with each other. PE is a real opportunity to encourage kids to work together that might not work together if they're in different groups in the classroom. So during the numeracy and literacy lessons, if they're working together in certain groups, PE gives us the opportunity to do something different. That relationship side of it is so important, and that's why as a teacher, if you've got your kids for a lot of the day, a lot of the week, it's to make sure that PE is still an opportunity to really develop those. Another thing on the environment that I love seeing in that game was the amount of activity happening. If we look back at the reports over the last 10 years from what lots of the papers and academic research are saying is some of the lessons take so long to get into, and you can tell in that video there was so much happening so quickly, and it was just brilliant to see.
I think it goes back, I think the point mentioned earlier on keeping it simple. If you look at that game, it's really simple to play. It's a court with a halfway line or a halfway point, which you only need a couple of cones for. Or if you've got lines, you know, you just use them, and it's keep the ball on one side of the court, and that's it. You know, it doesn't need to be any more complicated than that.
And then you can build up as you go along and progress it and layer it, I suppose, as the children get older. And just going back to what a high quality PE lesson looks like, and how do you know that that's happening? I suppose walking past, can you hear, is it noisy? You know, as you said about activity times, yeah. we all know the barriers of primary PE in terms of, you know, getting changed and maybe lack of space. But in terms of the actual lesson itself, high quality PE has to be inclusive and it has to really be adapted to each child. So I think we need to kind of look a bit deeper at the STEP principle. So James, do you want to?
Yes, you mentioned there about adapting and making it inclusive. I think what we've got to remember is you're going to have a class of 30 with a varying degree of ability on the game. So we've got to consider ways in which we can adapt it and give every pupil the chance to get some success. And you mentioned the STEP principle there. So the STEP principle is a simple tool that we often use, the S being space. So an example in the game we've just seen there might be the teacher limiting the space that maybe one or both of that pairing could go into and use. And by reducing that space, obviously they can't move around and get away, so it's just a little bit challenging for them. And like I said, the key there is you could do it for both of them, or you could just do it for one of them, or you could do it for a number of pairings without affecting everybody, because not everybody's at the same level. And that was what's really, really good about that game. That working in pairs and small groups allows us to adapt it just for who needs it and when. We've got other things in the STEP principle, so task. You could introduce new rules. For example, I think we had there where they were balancing the ball in their hand. Some might be ready for bouncing, some might be ready for the ball on the floor, and they could all be doing different things, but it would all be linked to a similar outcome for the pupils. We could change the equipment, so it could be a different size ball. It might not be a ball at all. It might just be protected bib, or it might be bean bags, for example. And then we've got people. We could change the numbers within the group, so we could lead that game to 2v2, or maybe outnumbered, so 2v1, for example. So it's a really good tool to use, just to kind of watch as the group is playing, and then you can go in and just think, how can I adapt this activity to either challenge or support those that need it.
Just jumping off the STEP principle there, I think something that's kind of important, and I wish I'd been told earlier on in my career, is to realise you haven't got to do all of it as the teacher. Like, sometimes we have to trust the kids to develop it themselves. They know themselves better than you do. And if they feel that they need more of a challenge, perhaps the teaching comes in saying, well, what's a new rule we could add into this? So getting the kids to do some of the work so they're able to be part of the learning process, which I think also goes back to that higher levels of engagement. So just lots of different things happening.
I think if you're giving them that choice as well, it can be very, very impactful in what they learn. So if we say, right, you can go and adapt the space, and they make it too small, you can use that as a teaching moment to go, okay, well, by playing in smaller spaces, what do you need to be able to do, and what can we do if it's too difficult right now? And then they can, oh, well, we can increase the space. And it gets them to understand the concept of space and how we might move within different spaces. But they're exploring it themselves because you've given them that choice.
Definitely, and choice and voice is so important, and also for engagement levels, as you said, Darren, and I suppose engaging girls as well, especially if we want to progress on to the likes of football. So in that game we had things like spider tag and crocodile tag before we even got to the point of challenging. So why do you think you know, layering it that way would help to engage those pupils?
I think going back to James's point, children are ready at different stages, and it's really important that we allow kids to, or we allow people to develop at a rate that suits them. If we took football, for instance, and we took it for what we see on a Saturday afternoon, then some children are just nowhere near ready for that. So if we put the ball at their feet early doors, it's quite an intimidating situation to be in. And we've got to remember, going right back to the beginning of this, it's about a positive environment and a positive experience for these children. Yeah. So your job as a teacher is to help them to muddle their way through that journey and to progress at an appropriate time. Bearing in mind things like the national curriculum and the age and stage that they could be at compared to other children in the country.
I think that's a good point there. You're talking about, for example, it doesn't have to be, the focus doesn't have to be dribbling in football. You know, we can look at the curriculum, we can look at other life skills that we're trying to develop, and then maybe explore those with the kids as well in the lesson. So, for example, we look at the stadium game. What you were delivering that lesson. What was it that you were focusing on? What were the kids saying? So
that school had been working on empathy and risk taking as well. So I think it was important to try and incorporate those into the lesson. Like you said, you don't have to have that focus on, you know, this is dribbling, or you know, as important as that is, you can absolutely frame it with a school value and try and incorporate that throughout the lesson.
Yeah, definitely, because that stuff's happening. You know that stuff's happening anyway. You know, or they are dribbling, which is great, but we can focus on other things as well. It doesn't always have to be it.
It's a long journey for these children. We're talking about primary school kids here. They're not professional football players, they're not professional rugby players, they're not professional sports people at this stage. And for me, one of the important things is to understand that a 6 or 7 year old might need to really develop those skills based around empathy or resilience, and PE is an opportunity to do that. So sometimes we need to cut ourselves a little bit of slack as teachers to take it back a step and realise we're not going to hit all of these things in one lesson. We're not going to hit them in 6 weeks. We might not hit all of them in the 6 years that we've got these children at our school, but we need to understand it's much bigger than that, and it's a longer process to develop. The only other thing that I kind of question around things is we talk about resources and we talk about where we can find it. We've spoken about a lot, but where would you find these things?
What you got to think about is the pupils that you have in front of you. It's great taking things off the internet and the schemes of work that schools buy into. That's great, but you've got to look at the kids out in front of you and are they ready for that? And if not, you can use something as simple as the step principle we've already talked about. Start shaping, modifying the activities so that they're going to be successful in that lesson. And
success is so important to kind of spark interest and being that role model, and maybe demonstrating, maybe asking a child to demonstrate how you question and answer. But we really want those levels of engagement because especially at such a young age, this could be their first experience of that activity, and those who are starting off their journey, you know, what a privilege and what an exciting opportunity to say, you know, this is what PE looks like, this is what high quality PE looks like. Here's an example of the ball on the floor. It could be football, and then you never know, that could spark an interest in a girl to say, oh, I want to go to an extracurricular club, I want to go to the local football club. And then 20 years time we could have a future lioness. Okay, James and Darren, we could probably sit here all day and chat about this, but just some final thoughts from the both of you. What would be your key message to an early career teacher?
I would look at using simple engaging games like we've seen already, and giving the children lots of opportunities to explore and play within them.
For me, it would be don't overthink things. You've got so many skills and talents and you're in that job for a reason. It's to just bring that to the classroom, bring that to the playground, to the sports hall. Don't overthink things and just be your authentic self, because if you can do that, then kids will buy into you.
Brilliant. Darren, James, thank you so much. And thank you for all of those of you who tuned in. We hope you enjoyed it.